The last flight out of Egypt. Let's start off by saying Barak Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Last Flight Out of Egypt. This is a title that came to me last night, while I was sleeping. I just got up real quick and jotted it down. And pretty much, we're experiencing the things that we're going through right now because this is the preparation for the last flight out of Egypt. Now, in anything that's done, you always have to make preparations. When you're gonna make a trip, you're gonna go on a vacation. You gotta plan. You gotta pack the right things. You gotta get a ride to the airport. You gotta check your luggage and make sure that you have your tickets, so on and so forth. Then you have to wait in line, go through all that stuff, and at the end of it, you end up going into the plane or train or whatever it is you're traveling in. You find your seat, you sit down, then you go, and get to your destination. Well, the path that we're taking right now, those are all of those preparations and getting ready for this last flight out of Egypt. And it's so heavy that the deliverance that's happening right now in America or about to happen parallels and is compared to ancient Egypt and the deliverance from ancient Egypt, and just the way that it all went down. Now, during the time of ancient Egypt, our forefathers went out on foot, but they were followed by the chariot, so-called UFO, so you could understand. And this time, that same UFO is going to be here. Because remember, that UFO was huge. So to separate the multitude of Israel from the Egyptian army, it had to be huge. And that's, the chariot that's coming is going to be very huge. And it's going to pick up the elect and then bring them into the kingdom in style. All right. So I just got a couple of precepts I got to roll out. So I'm just waiting for, someone to pick me up. So while I'm waiting, I'm just going to do this real quick. Exodus 19:3. And Moses went up unto the Most High, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. What does that mean? That means not that an actual eagle came down and picked up the Israelites, but the swift deliverance that the Lord gave to Israel back then during the Egyptian Empire. There's, let me see, something else that came to mind. Just trying to see if I can remember. But if it comes back, I'll bring it out. So it said, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. And this is what the Lord is doing right now. He's about to deliver us on eagle's wings and bring us unto himself. But this time it's going to be different, because it's going to be done by way of the chariots. Psalm 68:13 says, Though you have lion among the pots. So although we've been pretty much among, like dirty dishes, so to speak, yet shall he be as the wings of a dove, covered with silver, and her feathers with yellow gold. Right, because we've been in a destitute state, wearing sackcloth here in America, modern day Egypt, and we will be delivered in style. Lord's will, we be the elect. So what is the dove? What is it? Wings of a dove covered with silver and her feathers with yellow gold? It definitely is not talking about an actual bird, because that would not allow the bird to fly, to have, a contraption on his wings like that, because his wings are given to him to fly. This is talking about the chariots. When the Almighty scattered kings in it, it was white as snow and salmon. And I've seen a white chariot years ago, and I tried to pull over to watch it again, but it was gone. It was gone. But it was like a pure white, and I'm looking, I'm like, man, is that what I think it is? And when I pulled over to look again, it was gone. So it was white as snow and salmon. The hill of the Most High is as a hill of Bashan, and high hill as the hill of Bashan. Why leap ye high hills? So the Lord's people is that hill. So the Lord is telling these other nations, why are you leaping, you high hills? Because they're in high positions. We're in low positions. This is the hill which the Most High desireth to dwell in. Yea, the Lord will dwell in it forever. Because the Lord made a promise to Abraham with an oath. The chariots of the Most High are 20,000. So these chariots are talking about the so-called UFO, 20,000, even thousands of angels, because there is a multitude of angels. The Lord is among them as in Sinai in the holy place. And this is the same thing that this chariot actually came down, and the chariots came down during that time, and pretty much gave Moses the law to give to the children of Israel, and this is how we're going back home in style. All right. So Exodus 19 and 4, you have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bear you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself, which leads us to Isaiah 31 and 1. We're going to read this whole thing because it's short. This is help not in Egypt, but in the Most High. This is why in Isaiah, the 10th chapter says that we shall no longer stay upon the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. We shall no longer stay upon him that smote us, but we shall stay upon the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, in truth, because that's our hope, the truth of the scriptures, the truth of the Bible, which is the reservation, the boarding pass, the ticket to the chariot, and that ticket is not a physical ticket. It's a ticket that's already stamped inside of the elect. That's that, election stamp, which in the Old Testament, Ezekiel 9 and 4, the word M-A-R-K, there is the word Thawah. When you look at the word Thawah, one of the definitions is to be exempt from judgment. All right. And that is the boarding pass to the chariot. So we're not to look to America or Egypt for any form of help, but to the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. And this is not speaking about ancient Egypt. This is talking about modern day Egypt. It says, and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, right? Because it's easy to have faith when you have a multitude of power and a great military, with great weaponry, it's easy. But the Lord said, don't go down to Egypt, because if you do, if your hope is in Egypt, in America, then woe unto you, destruction unto you, because all foots that are left on the soil of America when the chariot of Yahushai comes will be destroyed by the nuclear missiles and the lasers from the chariots. And in horsemen, because they are very strong, right? But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek ye the Lord. Right. And we remember by reading that the Lord delivered us out of Egypt. And in the fashion and the spectacular fashion, he delivered us out of Egypt. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words, right? Because the Lord already set it in motion. See, what we're doing right now is we're living out the reality of what the Lord already spoke of. So in another dimension, what we're going through, it already happened. Why do I say that? Because this is how the prophets were able to see it and to write it down. But our dimension, is different from the Yahweh Bashim Yahushai's dimension. So we got to catch up. The Lord already breezed through it. We the ones that got to catch up. It says, but will arise against the house of the evildoers. Right. So he's going to rise up against the modern day Egyptians, these Edomites, these other nations, and even against the wicked Jakes out here. And against the help of them that work iniquity. Yeah, because everyone is in this place except for the elect are trusted in this man to deliver them from the said perils that are coming. And one of those perils, which is one of the final tests, is the time of Jacob's trouble. Now the Egyptians are men and not the Most High, right? They're not powers. Although they're trying to enhance themselves and enhance people, use people as guinea pigs, to make them into these automatons and cyborgs, to live forever. It says, and their horse is flesh and not spirit, right? But the angels, Yahushua and the angels and the chariots, those are spirits. Those are powers. That's why Yahushua said when he comes back, he will not meet thee as a man. He's coming back as an angelic force, traveling in the greatness of his strength. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down, and they all shall fall together. To get a better understanding of this, all you have to do is read 2 Ezra 13, about the first 7 or 8 verses, where it speaks about Yahushua coming back. And this huge, gigantic chariot. And that's why I pulled this up. I mean, this is obviously a depiction of some sort, but it looks looks good. You got the light, which would be the, lights in general, but then also you have a tractor beam, what they call a tractor beam, to pull up the elect into this vehicle. All right. So it goes on to say, for thus hath the Lord spoken unto me, like as the lion and the young lion roaring on his prey, when a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. Right? When a hungry lion, especially a young lion, a lion in his prime, when they're hungry and they're roaring against the prey because they're hungry, the shepherds can't sway them. They can't, change their mind. They're gonna go, either they're gonna die or their homeboy gonna die. You're gonna die today, your homeboy gonna die tomorrow. Inside joke. So shall the Lord of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion, right? Because the Lord is in the heavens. He's gonna come down to fight for us, like he did during the time of Egypt. But this time it's gonna be a more spectacular deliverance. It says, and for the hill thereof. Remember, we read about the hill that the Lord desires to dwell in, which is or are the Israelites. Mount Zion is the mount of the Most High's monument, because Zion goes back to the Hebrew word Tezayawan, which means monument or remembrance. Then it goes on to say, as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem, just like he did during the time of Egypt. You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, how the Lord jacked the Egyptian Pharaoh and the military up, and how I bear you on eagle's wings. I gave you a swift delivery and brought you unto myself. This time the Lord is going to do the same thing, but that same chariot that he came with to deliver us, we went on foot, but this time we're going to be in the chariot. Lord's will we be the elect. So it says, as birds flying. So I have this picture here, which is an actual picture from NASA. This is from the History Channel. And if you look at it, these are a bunch of chariots, all, in a in formation, and this is how birds fly. Have you ever seen birds fly? They fly like the tip of an arrow, because what they're doing is they're breaking the sky, or because when you walk in the wind, especially if you're going up higher, is It's pretty thick, so they gotta come like an arrow to cut through that, and that's why you have a bird in the front. And he's leading the pack, and everybody else. But that, which shows you, birds are very intelligent. People talk about bird brains. Birds are very intelligent, and they set this up. This is how they take flight. This is instinct. Nobody taught them. This is just instinct that's in them, and they pick up from the other birds. So as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Notice we read about the eagle in Exodus 19, eagle's wings. In Psalm 68, we read about the dove with the covered with silver, her wings covered with silver and feathers with yellow gold. Now we're reading, as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it. And passing over, just like he did in Egypt, he will preserve it. So there's a preservation coming. There's a rest that remaineth for the people of the Most High. And that's what Yahushua is coming to bring. So this is the last flight out of Egypt. Turn ye unto him from whom the children of Israel have deeply revolted. So these are some of the last warnings that are going out for Israel to turn back unto the Lord, whom Jake has revolted against. For in that day every man shall cast away his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which your own hands have made unto you for a sin. Right, all of that Renaissance Christianity, those different ideologies, philosophies, religions that Jake is in, the names God and Jesus, and Yahweh and all those different names, Jake is going to cast that away and look towards the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Because part of the curse was not only that we would be scattered among these nations, but we would pretty much be serving wood and stone, which today would be these religions. Because these religions, when you really analyze them, a lot of the ways that they worship goes back to ancient Sumer, ancient Babylon, ancient Egypt, the ancient Assyrians, and those different, nations and their false deities, their witchcraft, so on and so forth. Then shall the Assyrian, or America, fall with the sword, because Yahushua is coming to destroy them. And what is the sword that's coming to destroy them? Those missiles. The chariots, that's spiritual, even though they're going to shoot lasers. But the real arsenal of the Lord, the real army of the Lord outside of the angels is or are those nuclear missiles. Not of a mighty man, right? Because they're coming, it's not going to be an actual arrow. It's not going to be an actual sword, as far as from a man himself. It's going to be the missiles, and the spirit of Yahweh is going to be in those missiles. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Nor of a mean man shall devour him, but he shall flee from the sword, and his young men shall be discomfited. Right? That's why it says that they're going to go into their bomb shelters, trying to hide from him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. That's going to be something, boy. It says, and he shall pass over. Once again, pass over, because this is going to be the second Passover. To his stronghold for fear, and his princes shall be afraid of the ensign. Right. So they're going to run because of fear. They're going to try to hide. Him, his strong men, his princes, his valiant men. And they're going to be afraid of what? The ensign. And that's what the scriptures say, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against them. So let's look up this word ensign. The word ensign. Did I click on the wrong? No, I clicked on the right one, right? Yep. Enzyme. The word there is nas or nasa. It says something lifted up, standard, signal, signal pole, ensign, banner, sign, sail, right? In this case, it's going to be a spiritual ensign, which is going to be in a physical form, which is a chariots, but it's spiritual, because it's not going to be like Esau's military or weaponry. So it says, let's read that again. And he shall pass over to a stronghold for fear, and his princes shall be afraid of the ensign, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, whose fire is in Zion, and his furnace in Jerusalem. So let's go from there to Jeremiah 16. We're going to go straight to the point. I'll start at 13. It says, therefore will I cast you out of this land into the land that you know not, which is what? America, the modern day Egypt. Neither ye nor your fathers, and there shall you serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you favor. And to this day, I mean, the favor we're being shown now is the word and the grace to be able to get back to the Father. But in this place has been what they call the bane of our existence. It says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Why? Because that's going to take a back seat in comparison to the great deliverance that's going to come now. Because this great deliverance comes with many different signs. And this deliverance is also going to come by way of, the destruction of this place. And this is going to be a worldwide event. The nations back then heard of it, but they're going to actually witness it this time. The deliverance, the destruction, the calamity, all of that, It says, but the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north. So what is this land of the north? Oh, that was Assyria, that was Babylon, ancient Babylon, because, that was north of Israel. Yeah, it was north of Israel, And, but now, is Egypt still being talked about? Or is this great deliverance out of Babylon or Assyria being talked about? What's taking precedence? Ancient Egypt still taking precedence. So that means that this land of the north, this delivery, hasn't happened yet. Yeah, I'm just a little stuffed up. So it's all good though. But the water for the concern, my brother. So it says, but the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from the lands whither he had driven them. Right, everywhere the Lord drove us, because at the end of the day, the Lord is coming back to deliver the elect from the four corners of the earth. It says, and I will bring them again, it says, and into their land that I gave unto their fathers. But this time we're going to go in style. Let's go to Isaiah 26 and 20, right straight to the point, because that I got a call, so I got to check to see what that is. It says, come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers. What are the chambers? These are rooms. This is the chariot. It says, and shut thy doors about thee, hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. What is that indignation? That's talking about the fire, that hot fire, the lake of fire that the Lord is going to bring upon excuse me, upon Esau, the nations, and 2/3 of Israel. Salakia, brothers. Psalm 75 and 7. But the Most High is a judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. Matter of fact, verse 8. For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture, and he poureth out of the same. but the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. Yeah, so this is the destruction that's coming. This is the indignation of the Lord. So that wine is the destruction. Those missiles, the lasers from the chariots, it's going to get vicious out here. So the Lord said to enter into your chambers, into our chambers, and shut the doors about us. You know, just like the Lord shut the doors to the ark during the time of Noah. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment. Why? Because this is going to be the only way to be sure of protection, is to be in those chariots. Anyone else on the earth is going to be vulnerable to whatever is going on. It says, until the indignation be overpassed. You see, so until the Lord pass over, bring forth his fierce wrath upon the modern day Egyptians, America, and then deliver his children, the elect of the nation of Israel, and bring them home safely. Now, let's go from there to Matthew 24. And Matthew 24 and 29, it says, immediately after the tribulation of those days, that's that indignation, shall the sun be darkened from what? From the smoke, the ashes, the fire of these missiles, and the moon shall not give her light, because it's going to be some certain parts of the earth are going to be darkened, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the stars falling from heaven represent the missiles, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. This is talking about Esau's powers, the powers that be right now. They're going to be shaken. Why? Because the Lord is coming to yank them and uproot them and plant his kingdom, Yahushai's kingdom / Yasha'Allah. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, just like he told the disciples would happen. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds, which are the chariots of heaven, with power and great glory, because he said, I will not meet thee as a man. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, because this is going to be the last trumpet. That's why it says that we're going to be out of here between the end of the sixth trumpet and the beginning of the seventh, because the beginning of the seventh is total destruction. So it's going to be just in the nick of time, salvation is going to come, because at the same time salvation is happening, destruction will be happening. It says, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other, because Israel, according to the prophecy, has been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Let's go real quick to Revelation 11. And we're going to go straight to the point. And 12. It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. Why come up hither? Come up into the chariots, into the chambers, to be protected from the destruction that's coming, until the indignation be overpassed. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, in a chariot, what Esau calls the tractor beam. And their enemies beheld them. See? So Esau beheld us. And the same hour was there a great earthquake from what? From the missiles pelting down. So it's going to be all simultaneous. And the 10th part of the city fell, which represents America. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, meaning a complete number. The number 7 just represents completion. And all peoples on the soils of America, will be destroyed. The only ones that will be saved out of America are the elect of the nation of Israel. It says, and the remnant were affrighted. Why? Because they're going up into the chariot. They're seeing all this devastation, but they're going to be scared, and gave glory to the power of heaven. So can you imagine that? All this chaos, confusion, destruction, missiles, fire, people running, getting destroyed, and the elect seeing it, and giving glory to the Lord. Barakatah Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Is like you be in a situation where imminent danger is around, and all of a sudden you get delivered out of and it seems impossible. It seems impossible to get delivered out of that situation. And all of a sudden, the Lord delivers you. You know how much glory and praise you're gonna give Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So just imagine that intensified, trillions of times. All right. So let's go from there to Revelation 15. Just bear with me real quick. Okay. Revelation 15:1. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of the Most High. And I saw, as it were, a sea of glass. What is the sea of glass? The sea of glass is the firmament, mingled with fire. Why does it say mingled with fire? Because the firmament is see-through. And when the Apostle John saw it, he was actually in the chariot, looking down upon the earth, and he saw America totally engulfed in flames. It says, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, these are the ones that were called up into the chariots, come up hither, my people, and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass. You see, because they were in the outer atmosphere, looking down through the ozone layer, having the harps of the Most High, right? Singing praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for that deliverance. All right. And that's pretty much it. So this is going to be the last flight out of Egypt. The first flight out of Egypt was spectacular. It was one of the greatest events ever on the planet Earth outside of the flood. But this event that's coming and this deliverance that's coming from the land of the north is going to be far greater, far superior, and it's going to make the deliverance of Egypt take a back seat. And it's no wonder that this is going to be, the modern day Egypt, or this is the modern day Egypt, as it says in Revelation 11:8. And their dead bodies, which are the Israelites, meaning mentally dead, shall lie in the street of the great city, which is what? America, Babylon the Great, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt. You already know about Sodom and why it's called Sodom, and Egypt because this has been a hard captivity that we had to deal with here on the soils of America, from Canada all the way down, but especially in America, but it happened all throughout, and anywhere Esau was at and Jake was at, but especially here in Egypt. So this place is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified, meaning our Lord was crossed out, his name, his appearance, so on and so forth. The name of the sea, the brother said, what was the name of the river the Israelites crossed over? Moses parted the sea. It wasn't really a river. It was a gulf. You had the Gulf of Suez, which is the northern part of the Red Sea. And you would have to read the book of Exodus for that, to get familiar with that history. You gotta get your weight up on that history, because that's a very crucial and important. The whole book is important, but that's very crucial to know, because that gives you somewhat of an idea of the greatness of the Lord and his deliverance, and the time is coming for us to be delivered once again. So this is going to be the last flight out of Egypt. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Oh man, 144 views. Oh, now it went up, viewers. And with that, I say shalom.